Hi guys, how you all doing? Hope you're all keeping safe and well. Well, we are in the last week of Ramadan. For those of you who are fasting, you know what that means. We've been fasting for a month and now we're looking forward to Eid, which is 7 days from now. So thinking ahead to Eid, you might be thinking, well, you know, what about Eid gifts? There is such a phenomenon as Eid gifts. And, you know, it's been an interesting Ramadan in lockdown. So I think it's well deserved that we should give ourselves some gifts, you know, I think. And I've been sort of in my head, I've been fantasy shopping for gifts. So I've come up with 7, and of course, being a petrolhead, these 7 have got to be 7 cars. Being a fantasy, there's no limit on the price budgets. Why not? And being Eid, let's make them 7. So here we go, and I've categorized each of them so they kind of make sense in my fantasy world. So let's start with the first car. Let's go for a daily driver. Now, it's got to be the HondaCivicTypeR, the current one. I drove those on 3 separate occasions last year, and every single time I drove it, in fact I reviewed it, and I'll put a review at the bottom of this page as well, in the descriptions anyway. Every time I drove it, I was just like, it just confirmed that what I thought on my very first impressions, that there isn't a tighter, faster, more ferocious, more engaging car in that category. In fact, I said it was the best hot hatch in the world, and I still stand by that. And then of course on top of that, you know, there's space for 5 people and all of their luggage. It's practical. Being a Honda, it's going to be totally reliable as well. And you know, you might say, well, what about the looks? I mean, to be fair, even I struggled with the looks when it first came out, but I have to say it's certainly an arresting piece of kit, and you will be too if you go crazy with it at the wrong time in the wrong place. But anyway, it's certainly a standout car, let's put it that way. The craziest rear spoiler, all the cuts and things that it's got on it. And I have to say that over time, I grew to absolutely adore it. So yeah, that will definitely be on my list. So moving to number 2, SUVs. Well, call them a scourge, call them the savior of the family. Savior of the family. Why do we buy SUVs or pretend SUVs, or nowadays, because they're all pretend SUVs, they're not SUVs, sport utility vehicle. Traditionally, we refer to them as off-roaders, cars with 4x4. So many SUVs now don't even have 4x4. So again, going back to why do we buy them? We put our families in them. Why do we put our families in them? Because we think that big tall vehicle, safety, we're thinking about safety with our families. Well, you know, if you're going to do that, then why not go for the ultimate? If you want to be safe, then how about an armored vehicle? Yeah, bulletproof. And why stop at that? How about a car with night vision and one with basically blinding lights? So if anybody's trying to attack you or pursue you, you can basically blind them with these incredible lights. And if that's not enough, how about a car with an EMP shield? Yeah, electromagnetic pulse radiation shield. Probably the only car of its kind. This is military grade spec we're talking about. Something that can keep your electronics working even in the event of a nuclear blast. And will this vehicle be able to get away from a nuclear blast? Well, you could certainly give that a try, because it comes with a supercharged V8 engine out of the Dodge Demon, which is already outrageous horsepower, right? But this is cranked up to 1,000 horsepower. I am talking about the absolutely incredible RezvaniTankX. And the other thing you want to know is that in your SUV, can you actually go anywhere in it? Well, this one is basically based on the Jeep Wrangler, and the latest 2020 model is based on the current Wrangler. And as we know, the Wrangler will go anywhere. So yes, it can. And this one, of course, is lifted. It's got the bigger tires on it. It's got, I think, Fox shocks on it and all the rest of it. The looks, they are, again, really stand out. It looks a bit like a demonic Toyota FJ Cruiser raped a Wrangler, and this is what resulted. It's an incredible machine, and yeah, that's what I'd have, that one there. So moving on quickly to a Grand Tourer. Do we do Grand Touring? Is that a thing now? Well, you know what? It will be. I actually predict a resurgence of the Grand Tourer, because hey, who wants to get on a train now? For that matter, who wants to get on a plane now, given all this situation that we've been in? Now you're going to hit the roads and you want a Grand Tourer. And if you're anything of a Bond fan, which let's face it, most of us guys are, right? Then you want an Aston Martin. Now, I've driven a DB11 and I loved it. But then a couple of years ago, I reviewed the DBS Superleggera, the new one. And that's like a DB11, but turned up to 11 plus. You know, it's sharper, it's faster, it's more athletic, and yet it's still a comfy cruiser. A lot of style, and you know what? It's got to be that one. Moving on to the weekend car, because you gotta have a weekend car, right? And it's got to be a mid-engine supercar, because hey, why not? We're talking fantasies here, right? Now, mid-engine supercar. A few years ago, I reviewed the 488 Spider. I'll put any reviews I mention. I'll put the links below in the description. They're not all on my channel, because they might have been on the previous channel, Motoring Middle East. So 488 Spider, I absolutely love that. The F12 Superfast is just too brutal. The Ferrari Portofino, it's really, really good now. So much better than the California, but still not quite as sharp as a 488 Spider. Other supercars, McLarens just leave me confused. The Audi R8 is a great car, but a bit serious. What else we got? The new Corvette. You know, I'll tell you what, if budget was an issue, I would consider that, because I really like the look of it. It pretty much looks like a Ferrari. Anyway, so we're going to stick with the Ferrari, and the latest evolution of the 488, which is still pretty much based on the same thing, is the F8 Spider. So that'd be the one that I would go for. And Spider, because hey, you want to pretend you're Magnum, right? Why else would you get one? So that's that one. Number 5, the summer car. Now the summer car, you know, I reviewed a few Morgans over the years, and I quite surprised myself in how deeply I fell in love with those cars. I mean, you know, what's better than a classic car? A brand new car that's as evocative as a classic car, and that's what they are. They are basically cars that have been around forever. They look the same, they feel the same, but yet they've got modern mechanicals on them, so you can beat up on them. So basically, you can spank them and look spiffing at the same time. Isn't that awesome? That's what a Morgan is about. And I get the latest one, +4, with now the 4 spelt out. It's got the new aluminium chassis. It's got BMW mechanicals in it, so that's the one to get. Moving on to cool car, number 6, cool car. Well, what's better than a classic car than a brand new car that's as cool as a classic car? I think there's a bit of an echo in here, isn't there? I am referring to Classic Recreations Ford Mustang. I reviewed one of those about, I don't think there's a video for it because it was for a magazine. It was about over a decade ago in Dubai. I absolutely loved it. It's basically, you know, like a 67, 68 body style, so evocative as that pony car is. It's got the sound, the fury, the charisma, the style, the performance of the classic muscle car, but of course got modern engine, modern gearbox, uprated brakes and suspension, all the rest of it. And before you poo-poo it or say anything about it, well, Lewis Hamilton's got one, and he's second in number of Grand Prix wins, only to the great Michael Schumacher. So you're going to argue with him? I don't think so. So yeah, that's the one it would be for me. I'd get the one with the classic bumper. That's the way I like it. You can get like the Eleanor versions and this and that. I like that one. I'd get that one. Yeah, that would just be absolutely awesome. And you know what? And it just, every time you drive something like that, it just makes you feel like an action hero. That's just awesome. So number 7, have we done all of them? So we said a HondaCivicTypeR, we did the RezvaniTankX, then we did the DBS, Aston Martin DBS Superleggera, that was 3. Then number 4, we did the weekend car, which was the Ferrari F8 Spider. Then we did the summer car, which was the Morgan +4. Then we did cool car, which was the Classic Recreation Mustang. So now, finally, number 7, what's better than the classic car? Nothing. A classic car. There's definitely an echo in it, right? So for me, that's always going to be the Lotus Esprit. In fact, you know, ever since Roger Moore turned to Barbara Bach in The Spy Who Loved Me and said, "Can you swim?" with a twinkle in his eye and eyebrow raised, that was it. I was smitten with not with Barbara, with the car, with the Lotus Esprit, just as he dived into the Sardinian Sea there. And just there was, you know, in the 70s, if you think about it, there was just nothing, you know, a sleeker, more futuristic, more incredible than that car. I love them all. I love all the Esprits. The one I would have ideally out of those is probably a late model S3 Turbo, like the one that Harry Metcalf has got. I really envy him for that one. It's perfect. So something like that. And you know, the Lotus Esprit on all of these lists, every Eid, the others might change, but that would be the one constant. So there you go. That's my list of my 7 Eid cars. Tell me what your list is in the comments below. Whilst you're doing that, also make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of these uploads. And also follow me on all social media. Just search for #BrownCarGuy, like it says on my hat right there. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Of course, subscribe to browncarguy.com. And whilst you're doing that, support me. If you like these videos, go check me out at patreon.com/Shazad Shake, and over there you'll also find an exclusive piece of content which is like my parody sequel to the original Cannonball Run movie. Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned, lots more to come. Thanks so much for watching.